Hi, I'm Decisive Canine Perspective, and we're back with another video. This one's actually a really good example of handling an off-leash dog. I'll talk about the do's and I'll talk about the don'ts, and then just share some of the videos that we've gotten where we had captured off-leash dogs approaching us, like at Oz Park, while training with clients. To give a nice example. So this is just a young lady taking out her dog in the front yard, probably to potty, and I'm guessing a neighbor's dog, got off their yard and went after her dog, and then the young lady panicked, didn't quite know what to do, but then an Amazon driver came in and did essentially the perfect thing to do in order to deter an attacking dog. So this video, there's no blood or anything like that. It's not a full-on attack. It's just a attack attempt. No need for any kind of caution in terms of the video itself. So I'm going to go ahead and let that play, and then I'm going to talk about the key points. In the video, when the dog came in, the young lady kind of pushed the dog away and was able to pick up her dog, but then kind of got stuck in that little kind of foyer area of the home, it looks like. So, a couple of things why the kind of a typical approach wouldn't work. I mean, it could, but so there was no leash on her dog. There was no collar on the attacking dog. She had no shoes on. It looked like she was just in home attire. Again, probably just letting her dog to go out to potty. So trying to address the attacking dog physically, by kicking and all that stuff, because you got toes and you might hurt your toes, it gets a little difficult. I could see. So the first thing is, in that video, I'm not quite sure why she didn't just try to enter her home instead of trying to push the dog away. Because if the camera's right there, I'm assuming that's her front door. So, she deterred the dog, grab your dog, and then we'd want to back into the door to go to open it. And the reason why you want to back in is you never want to give your back to a threat, okay? So if she backs in, and here, if I do at the, because she had no shoes, the base of my foot, and just kick the dog back to get some distance between us, you can simply just retreat, close the door. I think that would have been the simplest approach to this. In terms of trying to back the dog off, technically you can still kick, but instead of kicking, when you have your shoe, because your foot is protected for the most part, you have the top of your foot, you have the point of your foot, and then you also have the base of your foot, right? So because she didn't have any shoes, if she kicked the dog like this, you could fracture and break those bones right there in your foot. I know because I've done it. It was not pleasant, but I had a dog attack my pit bull off leash, and I had to, I was trying to get the dog to back off, so I was kicking the dog with the front of my foot, and I do believe I had shoes on. So even with shoes on, because I was doing very forceful and repeated kicks before the dog disengaged, my foot, I had a limp for a while. I had this huge kind of bubble on top of my foot full of liquid. Probably should have saw a doctor, never did. So yes, that's a possibility, okay, even with shoes on. But without shoes on, probably even more of a possibility if you're hitting the dog like this. Also, if you're hitting the dog with your toes straight on and you have no shoe, I would assume more likely to break your toes as well. So your best bet is actually just hit the dog with the base of your foot, and then just trying to back the dog off. So physicality is not really, how'd you say? Because I think when most people would kick, they would, kick like this as opposed to trying to kick the dog back like that. So, a little bit more difficult with not having shoes, but would be more effective than swinging around in circles, okay? So when it comes to picking up a dog, a small dog, and I'm not saying that it's wrong or you shouldn't do it, but we want to anticipate the problems that we're going to create. And the problem that she created in the video, it's a perfect example. You see the dog jumping up at her. Is you make your dog more of a target, okay? And now the dog is jumping up, and now is your dog more vulnerable and a target because the dog was trying to bite her dog and her arm's in the way, and she kept several times, if you watch, putting her hand in the facial area of the attacking dog, you're gonna get bit, or you're more likely to get bit, right? So I don't recommend picking up small dogs. If anything, it's disengage the dog and give your dog the option to run, because by picking them up, you're inhibiting them. So it's either give your dog the option to fight back and help your dog fight back, or give your dog the option to run. Or three, if she had disengaged the dog and just backed into the door, her dog could have just squeezed through because she would have to fit her whole body through the doorway. Because once you remove, if we would have removed her dog from the picture, the attacking dog would have just settled because there's no longer an agitation to fuel the moment. So I don't recommend picking up, but if you do pick up, you're having to, again, back that dog off and just be aware that you're making yourself a potential target as well if the dog is jumping up trying to get to your dog, okay? So, with what happened with the Amazon driver, and this is, she intervened because she was an external, okay? It would have been much harder for the owner to do this herself, because had the owner had the dog and try to push into the dog, because she's carrying her dog, it's so locked on to the target here that it's not really going to perceive her as a presence to back away from, okay? Because the dog's too tied into this. So had the owner picked up the dog and tried to confront the other dog to back them off, I don't think she would have been able to do so. So when the Amazon driver came in, because now you have the attacker, you have the attackee, and then the Amazon driver comes in and essentially makes herself a wall between the attacker and the attackee, and that's why she was able to start to subdue the dog. Okay. Now, let's say the dog was coming, the dog was behind her, and the owner was there, and then tried to do that. That could work because, again, boundary between what the dog is trying to attack. So if we would have caught that sooner, the dog was coming, and I might have my dog behind me, I can use physicality to surprise and snap the dog out of the moment of pursuit. And it may take repeated kicks before the dog realizes, like, holy crap, what's going on? And then we would push in with presence because you're already in the moment, okay? So, she's turning around, she's trying to get away from the dog keeps jumping, and then the Amazon driver comes in and right away just body blocks, okay? And when she did so, she was also stomping. I think she was shouting, hey. She was making these big movements. The only thing that I disagree with is that she was backing up from the dog, and you'd be the opposite way. You'd want to move into the dog, making the dog back up to you, okay, to get them to disengage from the moment. But either way, it worked because it allowed the young lady to get into the home and then leave the threat, okay? So when we go face to face with a dog, it's called, or with anybody, like even with humans, it's called confrontational body language, okay? So when we've been at Oz Park, there have been a number of times where a dog has come off leash to either say hi to a dog. We've even had a dog chasing after where I had to like jump in and intervene. And it was like very close, like literally within 6 feet of the owner, and it happened like this. And I heard everything happening, so the video was very short because I'm walking with my client. And then the dog comes and I could hear it running, and then I just turned and I saw it was right there, and right away I just turned and dipped down, and I do like Cesar Millan, and I dipped down and put body presence on the dog, and you see the dog U-turn away because I caught the dog off guard. The dog was not anticipating for that to happen. So the dog got surprised and right away 180'd. So I've done this several times throughout 10 years of dog training, where an off-leash dog would be coming either to attack and or to come say hi, and that getting in between and pushing into the dog using body presence and being loud and being authoritative works a large chunk of the time, okay? I'm gonna say 90 to 95% of the time, okay? Every now and then, you're gonna get a dog where it doesn't work. And it can be a dog who is completely non-threatening, kind of dopey, and they're just kind of walking over, and you do this, and they're just kind of, they keep going. The crossovers, okay? Yeah.
Yogi, come here. Yogi. Yogi. Cut it out.
Coco, come here.
Because they don't really perceive threat. They're not really thinking threat. They're just thinking, you know, I'm gonna go say hi to this dog, and they're so dopey and they're so non-threatening that they just don't understand the concept. So they'll keep pushing through, so then you can just grab them or whatever. But it's still kind of putting myself in the middle to intervene. I had a dog that got off leash here at my facility when they were trying to enter. We had the first lesson of training. This dog had bitten the owners. This dog had bitten visitors and all that stuff. And they had just had the first class of training and was bringing the dog into board. And the dog slipped out of the flat collar when my employee tried to take the dog inside. And I was there because I was anticipating, like, this is probably gonna be a problem, but I'm gonna see what happens. So they had the dog muzzled, they had the dog flat collared with the E-collar, I believe. And when my employee went to grab the dog bucked back and everything just slipped off the dog's head. So then the dog is looking around and then goes to the owner and then turns around and then sees me and my two employees and immediately goes to attack us, okay? Well, actually went to attack my employee. So I did the same thing the Amazon driver did, is I jumped right in the middle, kicked into gear, put in, did my, my Cesar Millan hiss, and the dog kept pursuing, so I had to kick the dog. I kicked the dog, I think, about 2 to 3 times, because the dog was trying to attack us, okay? This dog intended threat. And finally, when I got contact, the dog jumped back, but then came back in to attack again, and I stepped in and did another kick, and then the dog got that, jumped back, and then ran to the owner and sat down, okay? So everybody was fine, dog was fine, but had we not done that, the dog would have bitten somebody, okay? And there was no leash on the dog got slipped out of the muzzle and the collar. The owners did not know what to do with the E-collar because they had only had one class. So I had to jump into gear and protect my employees and myself using physicality and then back that dog off using physical contact to tell the dog, like, you're not gonna do that here, okay? So they muzzled the dog, got the dog collared up, tightened everything up, brought her inside, no problem, okay? But it's that same concept of jumping in the middle and body blocking, using big loud sounds, big movements, stomps, claps, anything to make yourself look bigger. And this is to influence the dog because they're so caught on to what's going on. As you can see when she's moving into the pity, how the pity just keeps going like this and trying to maneuver around her. Is he's not really taking her serious, okay? So had there been physical contact and then this, you would have seen this, where the dog looks up and starts to backpedal because there was physical contact, and if it's firm physical contact, the dog is going to go, whoa, what's going on here? You're something I need to worry about. So you would see the dog look up and backpedal because the kick and the contact has now deterred them from the pursuit, and the dog goes, okay, I got to stop worrying about that now. I have a bigger problem because you made physical contact, and because you're moving in, the dog's going to want to back off because of that, because now you mean something. Okay, so we're not trying to, hurt the dog, or whatever. But in this moment, we have a probably 60 to 70 pound pitty to a what looked like a 15 to 20 pound like Shih Tzu or Maltese mix or something. There's no way that dog's going to win against the pitty. Physically, right? Unless that pitty happened to be very soft and that dog turned around and started to attack the pitty, and the pitty was like, oh crap, I got in trouble, and like ran off, which can happen because that's now personality-wise. The dog isn't really that confident, but size-wise, the pitty would have won, no doubt. So, so it was a great job on behalf of that Amazon driver. Quick thinking, coming in, intervening. Only thing would be not to worry about making physical contact and also moving into the threat. So, great example of what to do if you don't have anything on you is always just using that body presence. So this is actually a bit of a bonus clip. When I was doing this video, I remembered back to this clip that I saw in a "What Would You Do" segment on YouTube, and I went and started looking for it, and I was able to find it. It's not the original clip, so the quality's kind of bad, but it's very much similar to addressing the attacking dog. Is this person is being attacked? They're all actors, and this gentleman steps out of a building and immediately, without hesitation, just steps in to intervene and break up the attack. So obviously they're actors, but the gentleman is not an actor, and it's completely natural, it's completely organic, but you see how he just steps in with his presence. And they, I believe, have an interview with a body language expert, and the expert, the expert is describing he just came in and he asserted himself using just dominant presence, making himself look bigger, extending out his hands and all that stuff, which was very interesting. But it's essentially the same concept. A lot of the things that we do with dogs also apply to humans, and that forward presence, being confrontational and moving in, increases the feeling of threat. So I'm going to have this clip play. I'm going to play the whole clip because I think it's all good information. But it's just very interesting, to also see how when you see something happening, just coming in and asserting yourself. Now the gentleman obviously is a bigger guy. He's built, so he has a much more threatening presence. But it's more so just the lack of hesitation and him just stepping in immediately and continuing to move in and not stopping and not hesitating, because these are all things that do factor in. If we're being attacked by another person, is the longer you delay or hesitate, the more empowered they feel that they're going to get away with whatever it is they're trying to do. Now, yes, there's also waiting to find your opportunity, but then once the opportunity presents itself, it's the same concept. You have to act immediately. Otherwise, you're putting the attacker at an advantage, and attackers will always be an advantage because you're not expecting it. They are, because that's their intention. So this clip is a great clip to watch, and I think it just kind of ties in also with using body language to back off dogs. So I'm going to go ahead and let that clip play now.
As it gets dark, our cameras keep rolling. This man sees what's happening and goes for help. And look out, here it comes.
Take off the border! Goddamn wetback. Watch out, bro. Watch out, bro. Watch out, bro. What the f is going on here? It's illegal. It's illegal.
This guy separates the victim from his attackers, and then he takes on all three of them.
Doing a little cleansing, that's all. Are you serious, dude?
Todd Sneed, a mild-mannered insurance supervisor by day, is a force to be reckoned with tonight.
I'm John Quinones from ABC, a show called What Would You Do? What would you do if you saw three guys beating up a Latino like that? He's an actor. He's not really hurt. This is David.
David, you're a jerk.
Why get involved? A lot of people just walk by, they're a little scared. This is
Honestly, I have a history of people walking past me when something was going down and nobody doing anything about it. You know, so I never want that to happen to anybody.
His body language says it all.
He comes in with a very dominant posture. There's no ambiguity. There's no confusion in his mind about what needs to be done. And he has the confidence to go in and make it clear to people what's going to happen if they don't stop.
And if I had to take a couple of, punches or kicks in an effort to, reduce his pain, I'm going to do it.
So if a guy's not as bulked up as you are, what can they do?
Come get me.
But what if Todd's not around?
So I hope you found that clip to be interesting. Just again, tied in overall with the intent of this video. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective. Thank you for watching.